So an interesting bit of video hit my feed this morning, and I gotta say, wow. Uh, Things just like, I don't know, maybe I just don't listen to enough country music radio these days anymore, but I only barely have any understanding of who the one guy is, and the other guy I didn't even know at all. But there was an incident that happened at a country music festival in Oklahoma called the Born and Raised Festival, where one country music artist, his name was Gavin Adcock, funny name, he was getting ready to go on stage and perform his set for the show. And then who of all people happens to show up on the other side of the chain link fence but Zach Bryan? So Zach Bryan, I barely know who this guy is. If you were to hold a gun to my head and say that I had to name a Zach Bryan song to avoid being shot, you would have to kill me. Like, you would just have to do it. I don't know any. I have seen people wearing Zach Bryan shirts. So apparently he is a guy who exists, and he's got a beef with this guy, Gavin Adcock. And so apparently, I looked into it. This is the first thing that I had ever seen of at least one of these guys, but I looked into it. And apparently Zach Bryan, much to my surprise, is apparently a big enough star that he could play 3 nights at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey and fill that place for 3 nights. Okay, bit of a surprise to me. I've barely heard of this guy, but apparently, yeah. So he shows up at this festival. He's not on the bill. Like, technically, like, obviously he can go, but technically he's not supposed to be there. He's probably not supposed to be where he is. But he shows up because he knows that this Gavin Adcock is going to be there. And he basically shows up, starts demanding that he come out and fight him. Starts demanding that they open the gates so that he can get in and fight this guy. And when they won't do either one of those two things, he jumps the fence and he comes down on the other side and tries to get at him. So there are some people who are saying that apparently this was they were describing it as a barbed wire topped fence. I've seen the video. That definitely is not a barbed wire topped fence. It would sound like a really, really impressive feat if it actually had been like a barbed wire topped fence, but no, was not. But anyhow, Gavin Adcock has a couple of security guys there. They go and they corral this Zach Bryan guy and keep him back. And, you know, Gavin goes off and he goes and plays his show. And that's pretty much, it should have been the end of it. But that got me wondering, like, how the hell did this whole thing start anyway? And so apparently the way that this whole thing started out is it goes back to these shows that Zach Bryan played at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And apparently something that happened there was that there was a 14-year-old fan who went somewhere, and I guess he was waiting where the talent will come and go from the stadium, kind of hoping to meet Zach Bryan. And I guess when he saw all these people, people were there, he just drove by. He didn't slow down and wave, didn't roll down the window or say hi or anything. And so this fan was apparently a little bit disappointed by that. It said so in a TikTok video. And then Zach Bryan finds out about this, and he rolls up and he says basically, hey, you know, there's no entitlement for an autograph and a handshake, or to have somebody come and say hello to you after they've just played 2.5 hours. Get off my dick. Which, in a lot of respects, I mean, there's some truth in that. I mean, for a lot of these celebrities, they don't really live in the same world as us, as the rest of us, in a lot of respects, like up to and including the detail that, you know, most of us don't have to worry about being mobbed by people anywhere that we go. Like, unless we screwed up pretty badly, we don't have to worry about being mobbed by people. And they do have to worry about that. So on that note, I mean, almost fair enough. But that is not the way that that's not the way that you talk to a fan. And I thought that what Gavin Adcock had to say about it was 10,000% spot on. Just basically said, hey, what are you doing talking to a fan like this? These are the people, like, he paid his hard-earned money to be there, or maybe his parents paid their hard money for him to be able to, their hard-earned money to be able to be there, and he just wants to meet you and say hi. And if you're not going to do that, well, then the least you can do is not lash out at him. And if you can't cope with criticism from like a 14-year-old, well, then why do people look up to you anyway? You know, to me, that's a fair question. Like, that's a fair question. Apparently, this Zach Bryan guy can't handle that to such an extent that he's going to roll up at somebody else's concert, somebody else's music festival, like apparently in Zach Bryan's hometown, if I understand the story correctly. Like, it's in his hometown and he's not on the bill. That's sus. That's a little like that, like right then and there. Like, you're in town, but you're not playing at this festival being put on in your own hometown. What's going on there? Like, did they not ask you? Did they ask you when you said no? Because once we get into this detail that you're going to get mad because a 14-year-old fan, a 14-year-old kid, is disappointed that you wouldn't stop and say hello or sign an autograph or do pretty much like anything for the people who basically make you relevant. It's another thing that Gavin Adcock said. It's like, you know, you're nothing without your fans. If you're a musician, you're nothing without your fans. These are the people who have put you where you are. Like, you pretty much, you owe quite a bit to them. I mean, I don't think that they should have to stop and, you know, be expected to sign an autograph for every like 30,000 people show up to this show at this stadium. Well, actually, that stadium is probably more, but probably a little bit. Your fans probably deserve a little bit better than GOFD or GOMD. Pardon me. Fans deserve a little bit better than that. And you can't handle that amount of criticism so much that you're going to show up someplace where you don't actually have any business being. Like, man, you're not on the bill. You're not on the bill. So if you haven't paid a ticket to be on the other side of the fence, to be on the other side of the stage, you don't have any business being there. So there were a lot of people who thought that Gavin Adcock was the one who actually looked pretty bad in this whole thing. I don't think so. I think that he did was pretty much like the only reasonable thing that you could do. You know, you've got people waiting to hear you. You've got people waiting to hear you play music. And are you maybe going to, like, not go and do that for them? Because Zach Bryan can't handle a little bit of reasonable criticism? I think at a certain point, somebody's got to be a professional about it. And yeah, dealing with your fans is part of that profession, Zach. So out of this whole thing, I gotta say, like, I barely know who Zach Bryan is. He definitely hasn't made a new fan here. Gavin Adcock, I don't know anything about him. Embarrassingly, I don't know anything about him. But yeah, maybe he does have a new fan here. And for all of the people that are taking Zach Bryan's side of this, I've really just got to ask you one question. Based on the way that this whole thing with him and Gavin Adcock started, are you actually confident? Like, if you ran into Zach Bryan on the street by some weird miracle, are you actually confident that Zach Bryan could be fucked to give you the time of day? Because I kind of feel like what we're seeing here suggests maybe not. And I don't really care who's coming across like a tough guy and who isn't. Zach Bryan, you look like a stupid prick today.